This is rather fun. Y'all know that author Jonah Goldberg? He writes for the National Review Online. He had some ridiculous book about liberals being like fascists. His mom was that woman who convinced Monica Lewinsky to, or she taped Lucianne Goldberg. She taped all her conversations with Monica Lewinsky. Nice woman. Very sweet. Just wonderful. Wanted to help that kid out by destroying her life. Well, Jonah has the same measure of scruples and integrity as his mom. Of course, this is a guy who, fortunately for him, mom was a publisher, and so he is one of those bootstrap guys who managed to lift himself up through his mom's bootstraps. And it turns out it's not just lifting himself up through his mom's bootstraps. Bill Dedham, investigative reporter, writing on MSNBC.com, writes, on the dust jacket of his new book, The Tyranny of Cliches, How Liberals Cheat in the War of Ideas, the best-selling conservative author and commentator Jonah Goldberg is described as having, quote, twice been nominated for Pulitzer Prize. You know how you become a best-selling author if you're right-wing? You have one of those organizations that your mom is involved with buy a bunch of books. And then they go to a warehouse and they get chopped up or they get given out at right-wing conferences. Pretty well documented. And then they become best-selling books. They get better placement in bookstores and sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Except for it's not self-fulfilling. It's because someone's actually buying them in bulk. Well, it turns out that Goldberg acknowledged on Tuesday, yesterday, that he has never been a Pulitzer nominee, but merely one of thousands of entrants. It turns out the bar to being an entrant is $50. Ooh. That's right, 50. So you need to pay $50 and then sign up to be an entrant. And I've got news for you folks. You're looking at a very soon-to-be Pulitzer Prize nominee multiple times over. I can assure you of that. Because I may not look like it, but I have multiple $50. When this bit of resume inflation was pointed out by a reporter for MSNBC.com, Goldberg said he hadn't meant to mislead anyone and removed the Pulitzer claim from his bio at the National Review Online. I never put it in the bio in the first place, he said. You know those writers, they never have time to write their own bios. That never happens. What's surprising in Goldberg's case is that he's been called out for the same resume padding before when his previous book was published. It turns out Goldberg had no recollection that people made us think of the fact that he had never been nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. You see, it takes only $50 to get your name into a pool from which you are nominated, and then from the nominee pool, which is determined by the Pulitzer Prize nominating commission board, then you can win a prize. So in other words, I think Goldberg lied. That wouldn't be terribly surprising. There are only 3 nominees, known as nominated finalists, in each Pulitzer category. There are more than 2,000 entrants. If all Pulitzer entrants could be called nominees, any publisher could give all its authors that honorific by submitting an entry form and a check for $50. Oh, and in the event that he needed a publisher to do it, his mom, I believe, publisher of books. I don't know if she's still at Regent, but I imagine she still has her account. When Goldberg's liberal fascism came out in January 2008, his employer, National Review Online, announced that Tribune Media Services, which carries Goldberg's opinion columns, had nominated Goldberg for a Pulitzer in commentary. But it turns out that the Tribune doesn't nominate anybody. So Goldberg was aware that he shouldn't do this, but he said nothing. I know that's a shock, but Jonah Goldberg, I'm sure, very happy about this because this is probably the only publicity his book will get in the coming months. I know it's a cliche to say that guys like this are hacks, but I guess that's just the tyranny of cliches.